to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
It's that time of year again. You're back. Okay, so tell us what's going on this year for NAMI Walks.
Yeah, so this year NAMI Walks is going to be on May 16th. Once again, we'll have check-in that starts at 7:30. It's going to be at the group activity area at Woodward Park. So check-in will be at 7:30. Then we'll have opening ceremonies at 8:10. And then 8:30 starts our keynote speaker, along with resource tables, about 35 resource tables. And Elaine is going to be one of our speakers and talks about her experience. She has experience on the family side and on the peer side, so it's exciting. We're already at $20,000, which last year we were nowhere close to that. So
that's awesome. I love the community's coming out, and every year I think it gets better and better. Are you trying to switch it up? Is there a theme this year?
We're still going with Heroes of Hope. We tried to switch it up and think of something good, but really a lot of people are really drawn to that because I feel like it is the foundation of who NAMI is, and it is the foundation, and it's clearly the heart of everyone who is affected by mental health conditions and mental illness. So
next time we dress up as our own mental illness, I think that would be fun.
Oh, that would be so good. Mine would be like a Christmas gift.
That's cool.
Oh my god. Okay, so what are you going to talk about? What's your speech going to be about?
Well, I open up with a little bit about myself. I'm bipolar 1, and I've dealt with that for years. I'm 51, and I've been in it since I was 25. And so just knowing the process that takes place with renewal of the mind and growing in health, because there's mental illness and then there's mental health. And so I feel like I'm on the other side of that, and now I'm starting to take and develop in mental health.
So what's the difference between mental illness and mental health?
Well, that would probably be easier answered by...
How's the best explanation that you explain it?
For what we believe at NAMI is that there is no health without mental health, and mental health is as important as physical health. So when you're living with a mental illness and it's not stable and you're clearly in the grasp of it, you're not anywhere, you're in either mania, you're experiencing depression, PTSD, so it kind of feels like you're in quicksand, and it feels like there's no hope, and you're alone, and the world is against you, and so when you get to the part where you feel like you have mental health, you feel like we do, when you're here right now and you're able to take that part of your journey and try to help to pull other people out of the quicksand and be this is what we did on our journey. You try to be an example of that it's still possible to have a fulfilling life, So I would say that's what mental health is. It's living
and being aware of all the
being very insightful.
Yeah.
The peer groups are wonderful. I didn't have a voice when I originally started coming to NAMI, and going to the peer groups made all the difference in the world. You get to hear people put words to what I was experiencing, and that started to develop in me, and then going through the trainings for peer-to-peer and being available to speak, that just opened up everything. But let me get back to what you were asking. You had mentioned what I'm going to speak on. I'm going to speak on my mother. My mother is schizophrenic. I have 2 aunts that are as well. And
but you're not that.
No.
Wow, that's so interesting. But it is hereditary.
It is hereditary. Okay. Mine was triggered by a postpartum breakdown, and so my mother's was as well. And so there's a point in going through something like that, a breakdown or a 5150, and a lot of people don't want to say they have a mental illness because the stigma is so overwhelming. So you have parts on one side that don't want to say anything, and then you have the more liberal side that wants to talk about everything. And so to be able to open up to that MTV generation and say, you know what, you can get past this, it it takes friends, and that's what NAMI brought me into, is friends that understood where I was going, that wanted to be a part of the journey, and then just being able to reach out in kindness, you know, and empathy. And so with my mother, she had that opportunity where she was actually placed in a home where they rehabilitated her, because she had a lobotomy, and that's not legal anymore. So for many years, she was catatonic, and she would sit in the living room and do this all day long, and she would count from 1 to 10, and then she would laugh. And I didn't know she was my mother. And then one of my aunts told me she was, and we used to run around playing, my brothers, cousins, and I. And I would tap her, and I would take off running. And I remember that from the branding of it. And then being in that environment, I didn't know about it until for many years, and I wasn't involved with her. She couldn't take care of any of her kids. She had 4, but the illness was triggered by drugs and alcohol, and they used to pop a lot of pills, smoke out, and that was just the generation that they were in.
And now we can't do that anymore at all because of fentanyl. So that's like,
well,
you say about the things have changed. It's like, well, yeah, that is, but like even just pills. So it's like, it's interesting how you say about not only understanding like the mental, all of that. Now we have to change all of that as well. How we're wired to just take whatever. Like, the world is so back in your mom's generation, where you could just go to a party and do whatever.
Yeah. She did, and it just took her out. She took a baseball bat, walked down the street, busting out windows of cars, and that's when my grandmother 5150'd her, and she had to sign off because it was experimental. But the reality is there are programs out there, NAMI being one of the primary examples, that do know where the resources are to get connected into places where they can get therapy, where they can get their meds balanced.
That wasn't heard of for your mom's time. That wasn't even something that was offered.
I don't hold it against her. We just have begun to actually gravitate and open up to all of the resources that are there. And she got help. She got rehabilitated. She had her own apartment, had a boyfriend.
So she's not even catatonic anymore? Wow, okay.
She balances her checkbook. She lives with my aunt, so she's got like the caretaker dynamic, and she's very, like, everything has to be in a sequence, and she keeps track of the sequence. And I love it. We go out to eat. My kids love her. They just adore her. She's really simple. She's childlike. We talk, like, I'll call her once a month, and then she'll call me once a month. We call more than that sometimes. And I just tell her what's going on in my life, and she'll go, "Really, Elaine?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, isn't that neat?" Because I have 4 kids.
But she wasn't around when you were growing up.
No.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, it was, the family was broken. They came from Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when they came in, they had to get settled, and my grandmother only spoke Spanish, and the kids were learning English through school.
Just every challenge you can imagine just came their way. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. I'm really grateful though for NAMI, because I didn't know what I was dealing with. I didn't know how to advocate for myself. And then when I began going to the peer-to-peer groups and going through the training and talking to the peers as well as the leaders, we just really began to mesh and grow in friendships. And they're non-sectarian. That means it doesn't matter what religion you are. I'm a Christian, and Christ is my path. But a lot of people have other paths that they choose, and that's fine. That's fine for them to be able to get their feet into a higher power that helps stabilize them. For me, NAMI was the filter. It was the filter that just filtered me so that I could value that. Because before that, I always felt constricted, you know?
When you first realized that there was something off with you, did you think, oh my gosh, I'm getting schizophrenic, like my mom? Was that the first go-to? I'm becoming my mom, I'm becoming my aunts. Oh my goodness. So that must have been really scary. So you started to go to doctors, and how long did it take for them to figure out?
Oh my gosh. I am 51 right now, and I've had doctors that I would never send to anybody. And
how much you need a doctor?
I have a really good doctor now. Since my husband and I, we moved from Visalia to Clovis, and I found a doctor that is phenomenal, just phenomenal.
Right.
He took time, listened to me, adjusted my meds, and I'm doing a lot better, because with the diagnosis, sometimes there's symptoms that come along, and with the medication, read your warning labels so you know what to look for if you're dealing with some kind of symptoms and it's the medication. There's medication out there that it says if it makes you suicidal, call your doctor right away. Like, does that really make sense? You're going to take the risk of giving medication. I feel like
that's a lot of these medications, though. Oh my goodness!
And then you see the pharmacies put their spiel on everything and put all the families together and make it look all wonderful. And then in reality,
some
kids
of them do make it worse.
Yeah,
especially for young people. Yeah, young people are very sensitive to them.
Wow. Okay. So right now, how have you guys grown from the last time that you were here? I know these events have grown, but how has NAMI in Fresno grown?
You know, we're doing really well. Our groups we have groups, support groups for, they're called Connections, and those are individuals like Elaine and herself who live with the mental health condition. And those are every Monday and Thursday, and the groups have gotten so big. I mean, we've all become a really big family, and we're constantly getting new people. We're also growing in the community as far as we're partnering up with CVRC, and we are going to help do support groups for individuals who live with disabilities, whether it's on the spectrum or just a learning disability. So that's exciting. We're also working with starting support groups with women who are having postpartum depression. And then also we're opening the doors up more for all of our NAMI clubs in high schools. Last year we took a bus up to Sacramento and we did a Youth Advocacy Day, and we took one charter bus, and it was amazing. And then schools come from all over California, but this year we're taking 2 charter buses.
I imagine. Wow.
So it's
That's
like you're
gonna be fun.
Yeah, like at 4:30 in the morning, you're like at you see all these high school kids, and it's the only time they're happy to be up because they get to go on a bus ride out of town. So then they don't have to go to school, so it's really cool.
Who gets to choose which kids get to go?
You know, we put an email out to everyone in the community, whether it's Clovis Unified or Central Unified is really involved. And this year we're taking a lot of students from a continuation online school because everyone deserves an opportunity to just be an advocate for themselves and mental health, and you know, we're super excited about that journey for them, and so we're always trying to find all the individuals and the souls in our community who have fell in between the cracks, and help to lift them back up and be like, hey, like, you know, you matter, you're not alone, and you're enough, and like, come with us and let's advocate for you and everyone else in the community.
That's good.
So do you lead some of these meetings and stuff? Because it seems like you're now, you've been around forever and you really have so much to share.
Yeah, right now I'm just at peer-to-peer level. I also help and volunteer at an outreach that rehabilitates young ladies who've come out of the foster care system and they need more support. Good. And so my heart is kind of knit to that a little bit because of my story. And so
you were in foster care.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Your mom couldn't take
I was
care of
on
you.
drugs and a runaway. I went through a lot. Was groomed and towards sexual trafficking, and so my faith brought me through that, getting free from that and dealing with the mental illness, because for a long time I was just on the streets. But I love NAMI because they have programs like that. We did Ending the Silence when I was in Tulare County, and they go over the list of mental illnesses, go over the reality of what happens when they're not getting treated correctly or their medication isn't balanced out. So it gives them a place to have a voice. And I used to be involved in all of that. And now I'm on disability, and I kind of am just really taking care of my self-care.
And your kids. And that's
they're in their 20s now.
It's so great that the full circle that you've said about, like, how now they have a relationship with your mom, now you have a relationship with your mom. I bet you never thought that was ever going to happen, huh?
No, I didn't. And I had to get over my ego and say, you know what, I'm going to take I'm going to take this and do what I can do with it, because she's human and she deserves to have a voice. And as simple as it is, I want her to know that, you know, I love you, Mom. I know it's not perfect, but yeah.
What a great story. You know, and I have an odd question. Well, I always like to throw an odd question at you, especially at the end. You're like, well, because and I love this. You know how much I love mental health. I love throwing people to this. I love, you know, taking the stigma out. I feel like we're all mentally ill, me included. So it's like, it's one of those things.
Got something going on.
Oh my gosh, I got gas yesterday, and guess the amount that my gas was? 51.50, and I'm like, there we go. Like, you know,
the universe is always working.
That was pretty funny. It was like, oh my god. But sometimes I have these moments. We hear a lot about it in the news. There's still a lot of people not getting the help. We did have a situation recently where there was someone that seriously had some kind of issue kind of come close to us, and we're just kind of like, okay, how are we navigating someone that's mentally ill? Are they going to be dangerous? How do we take where we can show our compassion and be nice and loving to people? Right. Have a fear that's justified. Try to go around that to not, you know, ward off them and help people in the right way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You know, as you know, there are a lot of people affected by mental health struggles, and there's a lot of individual in crises, and a lot of times it goes unseen because individuals may be isolating, or maybe they're not talking about it, and then like you don't know it until you know it. Yeah. And so, but you know, for me, I mentor a lot of individuals of different personalities.
You probably got some scary stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like the most important thing is when someone's in crisis is letting them know that you see them. However, if they're not on Earth and they're talking about something that's clearly not happening, like they clearly do. When you're in that, like it could be like just a schizophrenia moment, and when you're just like you're hearing voices, and people truly do hear voices, and so so you want to make sure that you let them know, like, I'm sorry. Like it must be really scary to hear those things, and it must be really scary to see that person that you know that's not there, and so you want to let them know that, like, you see them. We have one of our first traditions is that you will see the person first and not the mental illness, and so it's one of our important traditions, because as human beings, you know, things like that for us are scary if we're not experiencing the crisis, or we're not familiar with, you know, we don't have a family member, or we've never been in the situation, so it gets scary, and your greatest reaction is 911, come and get this person, you know?
Yeah, and so, you don't wonder where the other, so it's like, and I saw the person first, and I'm like, uh-oh, I think there's a situation here. I think there's something more going on here. So I just don't know, like, at what point you do the protocol.
Yeah, you know, the two, if the police are called, or even, you know, the ambulance or paramedics, they have two questions, and they come and they ask them, you know, like 3 different things, and that gives them an opportunity to know, or to have more insight. And usually if they're a danger to themselves, or if they're a danger to someone else, then you definitely want to reach out or call 911 and let them know, hey, I have someone. You want to be very clear and say, hey, I have a person who's having a mental health crisis, and they need some help. They need support. Because
are they really good about coming for that? Because I know that lately they've been overwhelmed. It's not like back in the day when you used to call for everything that happened. You used to call the cops, and now you don't. So what's your experience like with that?
Well, I've had situations. There was one time there was a senior, an elderly man who was down on Shaw, and he was trying to stop traffic, and he said he wanted to go see his daughter at Fresno State, and he was trying to like get into people's cars, and people were freaking out.
Oh my gosh.
So I got out of and I was like heading out of town with my family, and I like have my kids in the back, and my mom was in the car, and I'm like, hey, like, you know, what's going on? And so he's talking to me, and he's trying to get in my car. I go, oh, no, my kids are in the back. And so I, you know, had him sit down on the curb, and I called for help, and, you know, it wasn't a priority call. So we sat there for a long time waiting for them to get there, because I was really scared that if we left, he was going to get hurt and go out, or he might try to open somebody's car, and then he's going to shoot him, because they're like, you know, so You know, it's definitely, you know, obviously not everybody's like me, and some people are going to be like, you know, get away from me. I mean, and a lot of times I don't blame people because the world is very unpredictable now.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, so we have there's a lot of things out there on the news where, you know, someone's just walking and, you know, someone comes from behind and does something to them. So it's hard to still be that good person. I felt like I was in a good position and I was on a busy road and, you know, I wasn't alone. My mom was in the car, but I also like made sure I walked him away from my car and, you know, because my kids were in the car. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard because I do feel like our police department is doing the best that they can.
That's the thing.
Yeah, they're doing the best that they can. They are under a lot of stress. Like
sometimes there's just not enough help.
Yeah, there's just so much going on in the community nowadays that they can't, like, they're doing the best that they can with the manpower that they have. And so, you know, I do know that when I've really needed them, like, they were there. So, and in this situation, I understood, like, he wasn't hurting anyone and he wasn't hurting himself. He wasn't doing all the right things, but, like, you know, it was like he was putting himself in not the safest situations. So I just thought as a community member and someone who's, you know, an advocate for mental health, it was, you know, I needed to stay there and make sure he was safe.
Where's your social media that people can come and access you and see what's going on?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram. So we're on, it's NAMI Fresno Cal, CA. On Instagram, and then we're on Facebook, and it's just NAMI Fresno. But if you want to get connected to our walk and you want to start a team, Elaine has a team. I did my team last year on behalf of my dad, and so this year I'm taking a break. But I'm going to join her team. So I'll let her be the coach. But if you want to join our walk, it's free. You can come out. You can fundraise. You don't have to fundraise.
And it's awesome. There's so, like you said, so many booths, so much great people to talk to. It's so fun.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. And so you just go to NAMI Walks /Fresno.org. And you can go on there, you can make a team, you can donate, you can sponsor, we need sponsors still. So anything that you need to find out about the walk is on there. So
awesome. Yeah. Elaine, what's your social media? That you're really, if you're not willing to put it out there, that's fine.
Not yet.
Okay. Do you have an email address or anything?
I do. It's Miss Elaine Reese, MRS. Elaine, ELAINE. Reese, REESE.
That's good. That's easy.
At Gmail, yeah.
Okay, so you guys can get a hold of her. You have lots of people that you can ask questions to. And great. Thank you guys so much for coming. And I've been telling you, I will definitely be there and doing whatever you want to do. I'm not going to dress up as Catwoman, but we'll figure something fun out.
We're always so excited to see who
every year is something different, so we figure it out.
And thank you, Sparkle, for always, you know, supporting NAMI, and
that's cool.
That's a big deal for us, and we're just grateful for you. You're doing so great. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to meet you, Elaine.
Thank you. You too, hon.
The more I've told my story, you know, the more that shame has been released, and now I'm willing to tell it to anybody, anytime, anywhere, and it's really lost that power.
I think the biggest reason to share your story is so that other people don't feel alone.
It's like it opens a door for them to be able to feel comfortable saying, yeah, here's my story, or here's my family member's story.
This is a picture of my mom, Dorian. She struggled with mental health most of her life.
So many people go through their journey alone. When you share what you're going through, the change starts happening.
thank you for coming on my show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, last time you came on, you're mayor of Clovis, and that was, I think, 2020, and that's when we were talking about what was going on with COVID. The great days. Are you happy those days are gone?
Yes, fun times for everybody.
That must have been fun, all the phone calls you must have gotten during that time when you were mayor of Clovis.
We had, I remember getting calls from people who were telling me their businesses weren't going to reopen if they weren't able to open back up. And there was one flooring person, and he said, people only buy floors every 5 years. My customers are going to Costco, Lowe's, Home Depot, and I'll lose their business, and I will never reopen. And I said, reopen. Wear a mask, socially distance, play the game, and if someone complains, then because the city of Clovis wasn't going to hassle. And what I said was, have your PG&E bill, and when somebody points their finger, pass it over and go, you paying this? No? Shut up. And my mom said, maybe this is an Irish thing, if they don't pay your bills or cry your tears, it doesn't matter what they think. I'm sure there's an Armenian one very similar to that. It was we got through it, and we thrived more than other places did. And we were able to right the ship more quickly than a lot of other places.
And I noticed that living and working in Clovis at the time, I totally saw that. But it just, Clovis is so fun and awesome. And I remember all this happened during St. Patty's Day week, which was like a very big money killer when that happened, because I was working at the Clovis bar at that time. And to see it all go to, it's like Clovis is more like fun. So for you to have to deal with all this stuff, like, is there going to be a big hat? Is there going to be a Clovis? I can't even imagine what it was like to be in your shoes during that time.
It was a difficult time
because not saying that it's easy to be the mayor of Clovis, but you had the worst time. You had all the challenges a person can have. You had.
Well, and the mayorship. We're not like the city of Fresno. It's not a strong mayor situation. The mayor in Clovis, it's a rotation position, and you run the meeting, you have power over the agenda, and you get to speak last. But you get one vote like everybody else does. So, I have been on the end of a 4-1 vote where I was the lone no vote, or the lone yes vote.
Yeah.
But that's important, because if we are 5-0 votes all the time, that means we're not thinking critically, and you need to have divergent opinions. And if I'm full of it, I need to hear it, because maybe I'm not getting it, but maybe they're wrong.
No, but it's true. I agree. I like the diversity in that you kind of do need to have those multiple sides. That's very true. But I mean, you say even though you don't have the role that maybe the mayor of Fresno does, when something goes wrong, all fingers always point to. That's true. The mayor of Fresno will have more of a focal point, but they also have 550,000 people. We have 130,000 people in Clovis now. We'll probably be 150, 3 to 5 years, the way we grow. And as we get bigger, we have to find a way to stay a mentally small town, which I think we've done a pretty good job on. I agree, yeah, for sure. And so I feel like you love Clovis. I think you really do.
I do. I moved here in 1984. I was a police officer in Santa Barbara. I wanted to own a home, which was never going to happen in Santa Barbara. And my marriage had imploded. I took my 2 young sons, age 4 and 2, and I left. And I moved up here, and I left my ex-wife in Santa Barbara.
What was it, why Clovis?
because I knew people in Fresno, and it was either that or move back to New Jersey.
Okay.
I didn't
So
really.
stay in California.
I was in a very. If someone said we'll give you $5 million, live 1984 again, I'd say go to hell. I couldn't. That would kill me the second time.
Wow.
I'm one of the few men that you're going to meet that got child support and had principal physical custody of their children.
Oh, wow. That must have been a hard year.
It was. But, you know, you make a commitment to your children, you can't walk away from them.
What are they doing now?
My youngest was a bar owner. He was one of the owners of Neighbors when you brought up the St. Patty's Day debacle.
Oh, so
they got shut down on St. Patty's Day. Unfortunately, my oldest son passed a few years ago, and so that's been, you know, it's never easy. Not even easy to talk about it now. And it'll be 8 years this month.
Wow. You've really gone through a lot. So you've been here for 40 years then? About a little over 40 years?
Yeah, 42 years.
Wow. And so you just knew Clovis, which is kind of, it's funny that you said Santa Barbara, because I feel like Clovis has almost some Santa Barbara-ish, the small townness of it.
Yeah. You know, I really liked living there. But I knew that I was sacrificing all of my tomorrows to live there today.
Yeah.
And ironically, I was at Santa Barbara PD. I went to work at the University Police Department at Fresno State. I took a $50 pay cut.
Wow.
And I immediately made that up on rent. And when I bought my first house, you know, my friends are like, how could you move there? It's hot. It's gray. And I said, I bought a house. I don't want to hear it. And
that's a big one.
My first house was 63.7. That house in Santa Barbara would have been 240, and that's when a VA loan was 9%. Wow. And when I got the house at 63,007, I was at the limit of what I could afford. I had to let my lawn die one year because I didn't have the money for the water.
Oh my goodness.
You know, you got to make choices.
Yeah. Wow. So you do love Clovis. It suits you because, like I said, I could tell that you really love Clovis, and I didn't even know this whole backstory on it.
Yeah, it's a great place to raise kids. I don't know if there's a magazine called Livability, and they have the top 100 most livable cities in the United States. Last year, Clovis was 77. This year, we're 52 in the United States. And there's only two other California cities in that list.
Wow.
And so, and they hit the, housing, schools, safety, great place to raise your family, parks, trails, community events. We got the rodeo coming up. That's always a hoot. And just, big hat days. You can still walk the street and not really have to look over your shoulder.
That's very true, and that's why I love Clovis. I love Clovis. I'll tell you, I'll do it. I actually did do a commercial for Clovis before, promoting the city of Clovis. Mm-hmm. So I definitely do love Clovis too. But it's like, I feel like you're friends with everybody that kind of involved in like Clovis politics, like all of them. So when you run, like right now, you're running for city council.
Correct. So
how do you guys choose? How does that all work out? Because you guys are all friends. You kind of run against your friends sometimes. How do you guys?
Well, we're not because you were. Now it's changed because we're going to districts.
Right.
So it used to be the top. If you had 3 positions, when the music stopped, if you had one of the 3 chairs, you were gold.
That's how it was last term.
That's how it was last time. So now it's changed.
And why has it changed?
We got sued by some lawyer who lived in Malibu. He was looking for money. And once you go over 100,000 population, there's a de facto someone's being excluded mindset. And so that's how we got stuck with that. So we had the choice of either carving the city up into 5 districts or into 4 and then have a strong mayorship. And we decided that we are best served by having a rotating mayorship because everybody gets a turn. And, you know, whether you're dealing with the Council of Governments, League of Cities, the functions that are and expectations of what the mayor has to deal with, everybody gets a shot. And sometimes people pass. You know, and I'm good. You know, I enjoyed it right up until COVID. But I have to admit, the only thing good about that was I don't like going to dog and pony shows. And so when everything shut down, I was like, okay, you know, there are things that as the mayor you have to go to.
Right.
And there were times you're just like, you know, but you know, that's it. Then if you don't want to do it, then you have to say no.
But you like going out. You're like a sociable guy.
I am, but
I know things get redundant. I understand.
But I have antisocial tendencies too. That comes from being a cop for 40 years.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, definitely. So now, when you're going into this and you're running against potential friends and everything, what are you telling people about why they should vote for you?
Well, it comes down to experience. You know,
well, you definitely got that.
And it's, you know, the best predictor of future performance is past performance. And you have people who love me, hate me, you know what you're getting. I tend to be conservative, but I also but I'm open-minded. I'm not a one-trick pony. And if something comes up that I don't agree with, I'm going to be speaking out on it. I welcome people who come to the podium and tell us we're wrong. I got to hear that.
What's one of the biggest criticisms you hear about Clovis that people want to change about? Since we all admit we love Clovis, what's something that is kind of the most that you're hearing that people would like to see change? Well, I think districts will help with that. There were people who felt that if you lived in Southwest Clovis, which is probably the most economically struggling area of Clovis. Like Tarpey Village or
well, not Tarpey Village is actually in the county.
Okay, that's right. Okay, that's right.
But the area between Clovis Avenue to Willow, Bullard to the border on the south, older neighborhoods, not many parks, because when they were built, parks, you had a backyard. And things have changed. So I think a criticism we got was these council members don't live in our neighborhood. But I think what they didn't see was that we all had a heart for Southwest Clovis. And the downside of districts is now you can't get on the phone and call 5 people and complain to them. You got 1. Now, if someone calls me, if I get reelected, and someone in Southwest Clovis calls me about something, I'm not going to say call Bob. I'll listen to what they say. And then I will, if it's an easy thing, hey, who do I call? You call this person, and then I will let that council member know, hey, I spoke to this person, I gave them this. Here's their contact if you want to. I'm not. You got to stay in your lane, So I think that could be the downside of districts, but you got to play the cards you're dealt.
So when you were during the COVID year, when you were the mayor, what was the biggest thing that people praised you for, and what was the biggest criticism of you?
Well, I think people were happy that Clovis took a position that this is the governor's order. Let him enforce it. However, if someone does something that is clearly out of the just stupid, then we reserve the right to deal with that. Let's say you had a bar that not only opened up, but they're having hookah night and everybody's taking a hit off the same hookah thing. You're like, really? During a pandemic, this is what you're doing?
Right.
Nobody ever did that.
Yeah, you're just trying to give an example.
And one of the big criticism was that we, and specifically I, we weren't following the rules. You're killing grandma. I had people call me a racist, a Nazi, and then I was killing grandma. And the irony is that it's people who will say things like that. And my comment back to them was, those words say more about you than they ever will about me. Don't email me again. I won't read your emails. I don't have to put up with that. If somebody wants to say you're an SOB, okay, well, not my first rodeo for that one. But being called a racist and a Nazi, no.
Wow.
You don't. And the irony was that person sent me another email probably 2 years ago. And I know the reason for sending it, make sure to see if they've been blocked. And it was which we can't do. We cannot block people on a governmental account. And so it was a very innocuous question. I said, yes, I could support that after you apologized to me for saying what you said. Well, I don't recall that. I do.
That's awesome.
I don't, that as Senator John Kennedy would say, that dog won't hunt. And I'm just not going to, no, I've been called pretty much every name in the book as a cop. There have been names I've been called, and it's like, holy smokes, I've heard that one before. So I have a thick skin, but there are going to occasionally be words that no, I'm not playing it on that one.
So it is funny that what the people loved about you is what some people hated about you. What people loved is that, hey, he's letting us do, Clovis is going to be kind of independent from what's going on in the government. Some people did not like that. So that's pretty interesting, huh?
Well, and I understand both sides. People were freaked out. Nobody was around in 1918 for the Spanish flu. And so we were in uncharted territory, but there came a point where it was very clear to me that we were picking winners and losers. The state was. Big box stores could open, but the guy who had a flooring store, he couldn't open. And who makes these decisions?
Right.
And there came a point where Clovis had the lowest positive rate in the county, and we're the second largest city. But that didn't matter. In fact, we were told that it was white privilege. And one of the things it's a little irritating, but you get over it. People, today, there was that the kids from Clovis High left school to protest during a school day, and Clovis PD filed criminal charges against at least one of the adults who was part of that. Wasn't their kids that they were taking out. And some person put on Facebook that the council used their influence, and it's like, okay. And it was, ironically, I looked at the person's Facebook feed, and they had 2 Facebook friends.
Oh, man.
And the New Jersey in me wants to say, who told you that? Your 2 Facebook friends?
That would have been funny.
But I have to, sometimes that part of my personality will get me in trouble. So
That's why you try not to go to every event. I see why. When you say
well, it's funny because when I was a police officer, I didn't get promoted one time. And the chief of police sat me down and he goes, Drew, you got this back east thing going that doesn't meld well sometimes. I said, well, when you have a particularly difficult problem or a particularly difficult person, who do you give it to? Oh, well, we give it to you. I said, so I'm the American tourist or gorilla that you got to get back behind the glass as soon as you're done with me?
Wow.
And he goes, I didn't say that. And I go, that's what I just heard you say.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm really glad that you're running. Where can people vote for you and support and fundraise? Do you have any fundraisers coming up?
I don't. I actually, what I did was with my campaign after the last election, I had a couple of $1,000. I donated it to Rees Across America and closed my account because when you have an active account, you have to pay a CPA to watch your money.
Oh, okay.
So eventually I'd be raising money to pay the CPA to watch my money, and I hate asking people for money.
I know.
And so I have to reactivate and fundraise. I'm hoping that 25,000 will do what I need to do, but there's someone who spent upwards of 100,000 in the last race.
Wow.
And they didn't win.
Oh, that's so scary.
And it's just, the mailers cost money. It's more expensive because of mail.
Right. Do you have a website yet or not yet?
I do. I have a Facebook page called Bessinger for Clovis.
Okay. Bessinger for Clovis. So everyone can go on there and then you'll be vocal about when you are having an event or speaking.
I will.
Where people can ask questions. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Absolutely. Now I need to get out of downtown Fresno before it gets too crowded on the freeway.
Oh my gosh, and head back to Clovis.
Back to the land of milk and honey.
Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, tell us what you do.
Okay, so basically about 4 or 5 years ago, I started doing TNR. So basically, trap, neuter, and release of feral cats. And it started because my kids were actually on a walk in Visalia. And at that time, the police had actually just cleared out a whole homeless encampment. And when they did that, there was tons of stray cats that were left behind. And a lot of them, I'm sure, were friendly with the homeless, but not to anyone else. They hadn't been socialized to anybody else. So when we went, there was a few here and there that would let us get close to them, but most of them wouldn't, right? So in my experience growing up, I always had pets and animals, but I had never come across what is a feral cat. So I just was like, oh, it's a cat that doesn't let you get anywhere near it, so you can't really help it. You can't do anything for it because it doesn't let you get near it, is what I thought, right? So all these cats that were running around everywhere, and you couldn't really do anything for them in my mind. So I actually reached out and I got connected with a couple ladies who were like, no, we'll show you how you trap. And this was my first exposure to feral cats, right? And so I basically, long story short, I kind of jumped in and got hooked quick. Okay, so I can help this population that is very, very overlooked because they're not friendly. Most people don't want anything to do with them because they see them as, rodents or vermin or whatever, and a lot of people feel that way about, especially unowned cats, because they can be a nuisance in the sense
well,
that
my mom always said, don't touch them, they carry diseases.
Right.
So that's what I
yeah, and I mean that is the perception, because they do if they're not being taken care of, and if they've never been to the vet, and if they've never had vaccinations and all those things. And so yeah, I mean there is truth to a lot of people's like concerns and fears about that, but it is something that can be solved. It's just that there's so much. There's no exposure. There's like a ton of lack of education on how we deal with that problem.
Right,
and
for sure.
Anyway, I just kind of jumped in and learned and have been doing it ever since. And I kind of was just doing it myself and one of my friends. And little by little, we started, talking to other people about it. People would approach us and tell us about how they had a cat problem and how do you do this and what do I do? And anyway, years into it, we have developed like a community program in Visalia, Tulare, where we do like we hold once a month. We hold trap training, little, I guess, workshops where people can come, and I put out all the different kinds of traps, different types of kennels, and just we walk through how you use them, let people have like firsthand opportunities to actually, mess with the traps, so that the first time that they're handling a trap isn't when there's a live animal in it.
Right.
Because that's kind of intimidating, because feral cats are, they're gonna act scary to someone, especially that isn't used to that. So like I want people to feel comfortable doing this in front of their house, at their workplace, wherever they're encountering these poor cats that don't have, any advocacy or any owners or whatever. So I want people to be able to do that. So I've had, this workshop thing where people can come and try all these things. See how they feel about it before they actually go out and do it.
So this is such a big undertaking. I'm still just like, wow, just one day you just took it upon yourself and then it grew into all of this?
Yeah, I have people that have come and gone, like some people have stepped in for a while and then, they get tired, burned out. It's a lot of work. It's like, it's like once you get in it, you realize how underrepresented it is, and people really start realizing like, okay, this is a person or this little group of people who can help us, and then you just become inundated, right? So like I have, text messages and emails, and all my social medias are just constantly, like, what do I do? And that's probably the most challenging part, is just like
answering people. And how many people you have working right now?
So it's all volunteers, but even so, it's like we have, I would say, kind of rotating in and out, because not everybody's active all the time.
And people can volunteer whatever they want to volunteer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I have people like, I have people that transport for us, so to and from appointments that we get for feral cats or friendly cats, if they're fosters, that go to and from their vet appointments. So I get people that want to only transport. They don't want to learn how to trap. That's intimidating for them or whatever, or they're a little bit older and they don't feel like they have the physical ability to do it. So they'll transport. And then we have people who feed our colonies, just go out and do the nightly feedings, make sure that the cats have fresh water, food.
So a lot of these cats you actually keep, but then some you've let back out. Explain that to me.
Okay, so like let's say we happen upon like a colony that someone brings our attention to. Like if someone calls and says, hey, I live in this apartment complex and it's just out of control, the cats here are just out of control. And we can't always help, because the amount of requests
I can only imagine.
Far outweighs
wow.
our ability. But when we can help, it'll be like we'll walk in and there's going to be a completely mixed bag. So you'll walk in and there's like totally feral cats, and then you're going to have some that are a little bit friendly, and then you're going to have like babies, kittens maybe, that are like really friendly, or that are at least at the age where they don't fully understand fear of a human yet, so they're kind of, they can be worked. So then when you go in, you assess, like, okay, it looks like this many cats are going to be just trap neuter returns, meaning that we're going to trap them, get them fixed, vaccinate them, deworm them, put flea medication on them, and release them back to where they came from. Those cats will require maintenance. So that is where our feeders come in, and they will go out, and for the cats that cannot be adopted and are not friendly enough, they get returned back to where they were trapped, and then someone from our little group will maintain that colony and make sure that they have food and water, keep an eye out, make sure that they're not sick, and people are not like messing with their feeding stations and stuff like that. So we do that. Out of that group of cats, there's going to be some cats that are going to be friendly enough to where we can bring them in, fix them, vaccinate them, and get them adopted out.
Okay.
So when we do that, we do it some ourselves, where we will network, post on social media, and accept applications on behalf of cats. But we're not a rescue. We're not a 501. So we are just doing that sort of like because we have come in contact with these cats and we want what's best for them.
Wow.
But we also will send to rescue. So we will, I work with some really
So you are a
awesome,
nonprofit, but you're not a...
we're not a nonprofit.
So you're not...
We're literally nothing.
Just completely 100% of volunteer basis.
Yeah, community-based volunteer.
So how did you guys get your name?
That was me. I just named it. Yeah, and the reason for that is because when they fix the female cats, which obviously our goal is, we fix males all the time, but the female cats are always like our main goal, because the females are just breeding nonstop, and it's so hard on them, and obviously the outcome for the kittens is awful because they don't, it's a really sinister thing that happens generally because they're not being maintained. Their moms are not properly fed. They're emaciated. They're not able to, feed them properly. So it's usually like a kind of a miserable, slow death for the kittens. But the females get a tattoo on their tummies when they are fixed. So they get a clipped ear to show that they've been fixed, so that when people see them out, they don't have to get close to be able to say, okay, that cat's already fixed. I don't need to trap it, right? So that's why my little thing here has a little tipped ear.
Oh, that's so cute.
And then they also get a tattoo. So that's why I named it the Tattooed Cat. I just wanted it to be something kind of different, catchy, that maybe would, hasn't already been overused with like animal rescue kind of things,
How are you guys maintaining, though, when you're not getting any, when there's no money coming in?
When it's not a 501?
Yeah, because food is very expensive.
Yeah, so we function solely on donations from the community. And so when I first started out, it was me that was funding it, and much to my, but we weren't as big either, so it was like smaller, but it was still really expensive and a little bit hard to do. Because you can't just ask people for money when they don't know what you're doing and they don't know who you are, and you know what I mean? So that's where it was just like, okay, this is becoming a really hard thing to take on more cats when people have requests like, who's going to pay for that food? These people can't afford to pay for it. That's why they're asking for help.
Exactly.
So it can't be me. I can't keep doing this. So that's when I started to document what I was doing by taking pictures and videos so that I could post evidence. Like, I'm really out here doing this, guys. Can you guys help me? Because for the longest time, I just did it. I didn't take pictures and videos. I was just out there doing it because it's what I felt like I should do.
Wow.
And so then there was several people who came and told me, they're like, you got to start taking videos and pictures, because how are you going to convince people that you're really going to keep, that you're doing what you're claiming to do?
Yeah, no, and I understand that.
And so I was like, okay, I could see that. So I started documenting it more, and then we started posting, and we got our little social medias going, and then we post a lot on Nextdoor app.
Okay.
Because that's like kind of the
that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so most of the time, I feel like people respond really well because the places that we're trapping, they know, it's part of their community. It's like, okay, we're trapping in front of this place or this park or this place of business. And they're going, okay, yeah, I've seen cats there myself. Like, I know that these people are actually doing it, because you can go there and see that the cats are getting ear tips.
How did you learn all this? And you said right away you saw this. How did you learn all of this and learn all the traps? I know you're that teaches now, but how did you learn and how to neuter them and spay them? How did you learn all this?
So when I first started, and I didn't know anything about it, like I said, the first 1 or 2 times I watched a couple of other ladies that were already trapping, who showed me how to use the basic trap. And then from there, it was just, I'm just kind of a person who just kind of gets in there and learns. So I just taught myself the rest, and trial and error. And that's why I want to support people in a very different way than I feel is generally out there when it comes to this, because it is a really stressful and scary thing to start doing all by yourself. And I know, because I did it. And so when you go out there, you don't really know what you're doing, especially because we use another trap called a drop trap, which is kind of like an old school, when you would watch cartoons when you were a kid, it's like the trap goes up like this and there's a stick and you put food under here and then there's a string on the stick. And so you're waiting for the cat to go under there and then you pull the string and the trap falls on top of the cat. And that one, it was so intimidating to me, because then the cat's under here, and now I've got to transfer this cat into a regular trap.
Oh
right?
My goodness.
And I mean, feral cats are like growling, hissing, attacking. I mean, they're just like a little wild animal, And so it's like, okay, I've got this cat, now what do I do, And it's like, so that's why I feel like it's so important for people to be able to mess with these traps beforehand. And go out with us if they want to before they trap on their own, and watch how we do it, and kind of do it in tandem so that they can actually experience it without necessarily feeling like they're just doing it cold turkey. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but
so where are you keeping these cats that are about to be adopted? You're keeping them yourself?
No. So, well, we have some fosters too. So that's another way that people can volunteer. So we have transporters, we have fosters, we have community cat feeders, and then of course we have our hugely important donors that bless us with monthly cat food donations. We have a little in my garage. I have shelves that's set up with food and wet and dry food of different kinds, like kitten food and regular adult food that people send to us. And then we have people that donate money towards the spay and neuters as well. And that really helps us out, obviously, because when you're doing a large group, even though because we're not a 501 and we're not a nonprofit, we can still use the low-cost clinics. The low-cost clinics are not for rescues or 501s, but because we're just community members that are doing this on our own, we're still eligible to use the low-cost clinics.
Oh, that's good.
And so that does help us out a ton.
I bet. Okay.
Because we can get we can still go and take these kitties and get them fixed at a really reasonable rate. And so I definitely want to shout out Porterville Low Cost Spay and Neuter. They do the majority of our surgeries, and they're amazing. Their clinic it's clean. The surgeries are so perfect on these cats. I've never had an infection. I've never had a negative outcome. I mean, they're just the sedation is so great. The cats, when they come back to us, they're awake. They're not groggy and sluggish and stuff, which has happened sometimes with other vets that I'm not a super huge fan of using, because sedation makes me nervous, especially because ferals, you can't really assess them. You can't really touch them, check them, do anything for them. So you're just kind of watching them and hoping them that they wake up on their own. And so anyway, but they're amazing, and we get a lot of appointments with them.
Oh my gosh, I think it's so great what you're doing. I think a lot of people love that. I mean, everyone that's speaks very highly of what you're doing.
Thank you.
How can we help out? Where do we go to donate, or what we can do
to get involved in stuff? Well, we have our social media is on Facebook and on Instagram. We have under the Tattooed Cat. And people can follow us there. Like I said, I'm also on Nextdoor, and if people want to donate their time, if people are interested in learning, what we do, or they want to attend like a workshop.
And you just do monthly, which is great. I mean, that's really awesome.
Yeah, and I announce like on our social media.
Thank goodness. Okay, so you let us know when it's coming.
Yeah,
okay.
I have a little flyer that I make every single month that announces like day and time, and it's always just at my house. I do it in my driveway.
You are incredible, woman.
but we just sometimes we have like 15 people show up. Sometimes we have 3 or 4 people show up, but we still do it. And it's like, I feel like it's really been helpful. There's a lot of people that have told me, like, after the workshop, I went in trapped, and I'm almost done with my colony, or I've finished my colony or whatever. And it's just like, it makes me so happy that people feel like empowered to go out and do it. Because really, I mean, the cat issue is so out of control that until each and every person feels empowered to help the cats that are in front of them, like, I know not everybody's
we could just all do our part by just that one little colony, and then we'd be fine. And then we'd be fine.
Exactly. Not everybody's gonna like go out like we do and go find cats. But like almost everybody that I've ever talked to in the Valley, there's stray cats somewhere.
Yeah, they know of a area where every time I go here, every time I go there.
And it's like, if you can just learn to be comfortable enough with a trap that you could set a trap, call one of these low-cost places, get an appointment, and I do have like a resource page that I made that I post that has like the names of the clinics, how to contact them, how to make appointments, how to get low-cost vouchers. I have all that on my little pamphlet, so it makes it easy for people to do that, and then they learn how to be comfortable with the trap. It's like you can do it yourself, and it really does make such a huge difference. The males don't fight anymore. They don't mark anymore, which is a huge thing that people hate, is the males going around spraying on everything, and it stinks.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And it's like once their hormone level goes down after they've been fixed, very, very rarely do they spray. And then the females, of course, there's not all the fighting over the females, and the females are not having babies in your yard where, poor people are like, what do I do? This cat that I don't know just had a litter in my yard, and, so it's like, it's worth it to take care of that problem so you don't have to deal with what that looks like and how that feels, because it's an awful feeling when you're seeing these, sickly, poor animals that are in front of your house, and and it's also a nuisance if they're spraying and fighting and all that kind of stuff in front. So I just tell people, take care of the problem.
I love that. So everybody, you got to DM her, the Tattooed Cat, and support in any way we can. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. I just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't want to be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.